Hi there, I'm Justin Pritchard, and today a look at the latest family Camry from the Camry family. This 8th generation Camry hit the road in the not-so-distant past, and it's the freshest take on one of the most sought-after family sedans on the scene. It's the latest and greatest from Toyota's sensible, logical, and reasonable family car choice, launched into a marketplace where shoppers are rapidly making the shift out of cars and sedans like this and into crossover SUVs instead. It's a huge trend that's not going anywhere, and some automakers have even announced plans to stop building most of their car models altogether. Sign of the times, I guess, but Toyota figures the Camry isn't going anywhere, and if you're in the market, there's lots to like about this machine, and we'll start with my favorite part about it, the interior. My tester made a great first impression with the upscale use of a bright and light palette, accenting textures and sculpting and contrasting colors, and high-tech displays and a sense of various panels and tiers of controls and materials and interfaces flowing and layering upon one another. And don't miss the quilted and perforated leather seats that are as soft and inviting as a snugly warm duvet on a cold winter evening. Not long ago, you expected this level of richness and detail and curvaceousness from the cabin of a much more expensive car. The designers have earned their paycheck with this interior, that's for sure. And there's room to spare, plenty of it in both seating rows. Up front, your average size presenter found no issues to note with space. It's easy to get in and out, and easy to stretch out a little inside here too. In back, same thing, heaps of space and even adult-friendly rear seat legroom, though headroom will disappear first for larger occupants. There's plenty of storage for everyone, and up front, the driver and front seat passenger have a space for all of their things. No shortage of charging provisions, a generous center console, and a wireless charging pad, and more. My high-end tester was finished with a vivid JBL stereo, panoramic sunroof, and a big and easy-to-use central command touchscreen interface, and plenty more. In back, the trunk is wide and flat and generous, though I wish the folding rear seats had a bigger pass-through to fit wider, longer items. So far, a nicely put together, nicely laid out, and highly functional and roomy cabin with space to spare for 4 adults or your average family of 5. Under the hood, my tester ran the Camry's latest 4-cylinder engine. This very high compression 2.5-liter unit uses both the Atkinson cycle and D4S direct fuel injection to help generate 203 very thrifty horsepower. This engine uses an array of the latest Toyota fuel-saving technologies to squeeze the most possible energy out of every molecule of fuel it burns, and it works. I did under 7 liters per 100 clicks on the highway at a decent clip, and you're clear for well over a full day's cruising on a full tank of fuel. This thing is excellent on gas. Camry's big 4-banger isn't as smooth or quiet as many of the segment's comparable turbocharged engines, which make more power using less noise and less revs more of the time. Malibu and Accord come to mind here. Both are more responsive and quieter from under the hood around town and operate more invisibly more often. But Camry's big 4-cylinder is a good all-around performer, decently punchy when called upon, excellent on fuel, and well suited to the light-footed driver concerned mainly with going as far as they can without having to stop and refuel. It does get a bit noisier and more harsh when pushed than some drivers will like, but it's hardly a deal breaker, especially if you're typically driving your Camry in no particular rush, which is likely. There are 3 drive modes available down here: Sport, Normal, and Eco, with the refined fuel-saving Eco mode being where I left this tester. It just suits the car's personality so well, there's little reason not to use it. On the highway, you'll find another one of this machine's strongest assets, the ride, and simply because this might be the ride quality leader in this segment. It's a very relaxed and compliant ride, soft at virtually all times, rarely if ever crashing into bumps or potholes, and typically isolating drivers very nicely from the unpleasant sensations hurled their way from the road beneath. And for how comfortable a ride this is, it's not excessively squishy or floaty either. All set if you're after a sedan that's very much dialed in to be comfort first and fuel efficiency first, this will satisfy. And while cruising, the steering is light enough to be used with minimal effort, but not too quick, and nicely dialed in to support the relaxing feel imparted elsewhere. Noise levels are kept nicely in check too, and that's even with this tester's typically noisier winter tires installed. So all said, Camry is a nice and upscale place with more than adequate room for occupants to relax, unwind, and socialize on the open road. It does its best stuff in the background to make sure that you have hours of comfy cruising at your disposal with minimal fuel use in the process. And with automatic lights, high beams, climate control, and more, it's got all the equipment you'll need for set it and forget it driving too.
And if safety is important to you, well, you're well covered off here. This has radar cruise, lane departure warning with steering assist, blind spot monitoring, a backup camera, a collision warning system that can even auto brake for texty walking pedestrians. There are automatic high beams. At any given time, this car is actively analyzing its surroundings to work with your safe and attentive driving towards an extra layer of confidence. And so on the safety front, if you're after a little less than every imaginable safety feature on the market today, you're well covered off. And interestingly, since Toyota figures that safety shouldn't be optional, all of that stuff is standard regardless of which Camry you choose.
Under braking, there's little remarkable about the feel at the pedal, though the Camry pulls down to a stop with urgency and typically in a straight line without fuss. If the ABS kicks in, you won't feel much of it at the pedal, though you will hear it through the firewall. Elsewhere, don't miss the bright and easy to navigate central touchscreen interface, the wireless charging pad, high output USB power ports, and more. Headlights perform well, offering up thick and widespread coverage of bright white light up the road, and that helps keep your eyes fresh long after dark. Complaints keeping context in mind were few and far between. The big trunk loses some space due to the trunk lid arms that might smash into your gear depending on how it's arranged, and if you're a sportier driver, you'll want to opt for a sportier trim grade and maybe the V6, as this XLE is comfort first and doesn't feel designed to try to wow you with its performance or reflexes. Also, some will find it pricey. This tester clocked in with an asking price of $36,600, and there isn't even remote start or a heated steering wheel.
So this might be about as close as you'll get to a big dollar luxury car experience without a big dollar luxury car price tag in this segment. And if that's important to you, then check out the Buick LaCrosse as well, which excels for similar reasons here. And the new Honda Accord is also excellent, and it has a smoother driveline, but the interior is a little bit more plain by comparison. End of the day, if you're not ready to shift into a crossover just yet and prefer a conventional family sedan, well, you've got some great options to pick from, and this is definitely one of them. Thanks for watching.